Welcome. It is May the 2nd, 2023. Please hit the likes and subscribes, and welcome to Center Hice Productions. We are going to discuss now as we discussed in the first episode of the drafts, up and coming drafts in 2023. We discussed the first 5 draft picks. Now we're going to discuss the 6 through 10, and with a little bit of spin on who the Habs seem to be rumors saying they're looking at, and who we think they should be looking at. Kind of a combination. So anyway, here we will start, and we will also be putting a rumor to rest. Okay, the first one at 6 is Zach Benson, left winger. And that's I've heard his name attached to the Habs, so there does seem to be some interest. So this is definitely a possibility pick. I wouldn't be all that shocked, depending, on that's what I'm looking at is if we were to fall down anywhere from into 7th for a pick. Let's hope that doesn't happen. So that is the next one. So, and he seems to have a good write-up. Then at 7, I'm making this video as short as possible, we have Colby Barlow, a right winger. And I haven't heard much rumor attached to him as far as the Habs. And he's a right winger as well. So that's your 7th pick. And then we have David Bearbacker, defenseman. This is a defenseman. This is if somebody needs a defenseman, which I can't see the Habs look in this direction because we are in more of a need to fix the front end. So I don't think that'll be somebody we have to watch. Okay, so then we go all the way down to the 10th and final pick. This was very quick, wasn't it? And it's Samuel Honzak. And haven't heard much of him as well, for that matter, attached to the Habs. So the main guy I see in that batch that has been attached to the Habs a bit was most definitely Zach Benson. So that being said, I wasn't going to go that far, but I think I might just mention the next 5 guys and go to 15. Okay, then we have at 11 Nate Danielson, which is a center. A few little small rumors, nothing drastic, but a few. So this is another possible fit. That's at 11. And Edward Saleh is a right winger. Haven't heard his mention at all attached to the Habs, and that's number 12. And then we at 13 have Axel Sandin, Palika, defenseman. Again, I don't really see the Habs going after a defenseman, to be honest with you. And then at number 14, we have Oliver Mayer, another centerman. And again, I have not heard his name mentioned. And at 15, we have Braden Yager. I heard a little bit about this guy, but really, I think it's the next guy. So we've gone to that point. I think I may just go right to 20 here. And the next guy is the guy I have heard rumor. And I would say that our second pick, be prepared for our second pick to be this guy. I would have to say we've heard about Dolvar Devosky, this another center. This guy's name is coming up in Rumorville with the Habs quite a bit. So this is another possibility for the Habs, I think, from what some reporters are saying. We shall see. Then at 17, we've got David Butt, left winger in the Yugoslavian League. Haven't heard much of his name either. At 18, Andrew Crystal, left wing. Haven't heard much of him either. And then another defenseman coming in at 19 would be Olivier Book, another defenseman. So I don't think you really have to, again, worry about the defenseman. And then at 20, the final one we'll go to and stop here today. Actually, I might go to 22. since we're going so quickly. Matthew Wood is a right winger. This is another one I've heard, yeah, very, very little, but at least I've heard his name mentioned. So that's a right winger. Riley Hedge, Hedge centerman at 21. So, that's a possibility, but haven't heard his name either. And then we've got Gabriel Perrault, right wing. And if you're trying to solve a French thing, I mean, I haven't heard the rumor of the whatsoever. Maybe that's something you look at with that second pick. And I'm going to go one further because I've already got it kind of lined under here, so I might as well. Quentin Musty, that's at 23. Left wing. This guy's name has come up quite a bit. And I've also heard Grant McKeegan mention Musty, and this guy seems to be a lot better than where he's ranked. So don't be surprised if this guy moves up the ladder in the draft somewhere, because seems to be a lot of excitement about this kid. He seems to have a really good write up. So Quentin Musty, and he has been attached to the Habs, so I could see that being our second pick in that vicinity. We will stop at 23 there, and the next episode will go from 24 to 32 and finish it off in a 3-part series. So that is what we're looking at. And just to look at it, like I say, there's like Dvorsky and Musty and Benson have been mentioned out of those guys. Those have been the 3 names out of that batch of players I have heard. So, and I will do probably a 4th episode just bringing out the names of the individuals the Habs have been associated with. And I did have a note that was going back when I mentioned what the Habs needing a goaltender and a first round goaltender. And of course, we know the goaltenders are in the second round because there's so much talent in the pool. But and we mentioned the 2 guys' name. But anyway, I just wanted to mention this. This was something and since it's at the 6th draft position, there was mention that if somebody really took interest, this guy could go at 6. So just to be aware, and that's Carson Bjarnason, and it seems like he is, the Canadian. He was in the the Canadian Hockey League, juniors. And so his name, he's got such a great write-up. Don't be shocked. This could be the one goaltender that cracks I'd still say Horrible, Michael Horrible could do it as well. So we might not want to kid ourselves. I mean, I'm kind of looking at it, and I say teams that are lacking, and the league seems to be lacking in elite goaltenders. They seem to be harder to come across. So would it surprise me if the Habs made a move, or someone else makes a move for one of those 2 goaltenders? Anyway, that's the word that guy could change. Bjarnason could change the positioning a bit, because he could crack at 6 the draft postings. Now, the next thing, I wasn't going to go into this, but I'm getting tired. Like I watch a lot of other podcasts, but between certain reporters pumping the tires up on this, and we know they know who they are. They go on some podcasts and they spin these tires, and then we have the French media spinning these tires, and I'm tired. I'm really sick and tired of hearing it. And then now we're getting some podcasts that are really, and you can always tell it's the podcast with somebody who's got a French background. And mind you, I do, but I'm not pumping those tires because I don't believe in putting a tongue to a player on a team. So the big rumor I want to put to rest is everybody's talking about, the media and certain French podcasters, media men in Montreal are kind of talking about, the big trade that Montreal should make, and they think they'll make with Pierre-Luc Dubois. And I think, between you and me, and I've heard some of the scenarios, and I've heard between Harris and Lane Hudson being thrown into the package. I've heard Josh Anderson's name being thrown into the pack as well. Do I expect the Habs to make a big splash? Yes. Is this a possible trade? Yes. Am I for it? No. The guy is still under contract for one more year. Why not wait till he comes up in free agency the following year? And that's if you're bent on him coming. I think number one for me, his money's too extreme, and we got too much young talent that we waste that money being freed up. And I think we should stick to our program. That's my opinion. I'm not a fan of players that are hot and cold continually, and I'm sorry, he is. He might be slightly better than Anderson, but he is still, as John Tortorella said, his lack of work ethic. It shows. It shows. And I don't want another one of those guys. And I don't want another situation that we end up regretting it, especially if it's a trade. I'd rather us just do the wise thing. And I think, Kent Hughes and Gordon will be wise enough to say, you know what? Why don't we just wait till he's a free agent the following year? And let's pray to God they do that. However, at the same token, I do expect Montreal to make a big splash in the at the draft. And I know I've seen Junkie come up with it afterwards, after I had addressed the defense in Montreal, what I thought was going to, how we looked there. I didn't get into talking about the trades so much, but I was making it very clear that Harris should stay put. And definitely Jack I should stay put. So I seen Junkie's episode, and it was very good as it always is. I love his material. But however, I disagree, and then I think everybody's getting a lot of rumorville from the Eric Ingalls and the the French media over there that seem to have that spin on the French movement, and so Harris and Jack Eye's name came up and as a rumor. I think that would be the worst thing the Habs could do right now. To be honest with you, and I always said Barron should be out of the guys that are up there, the odd man out. We have to get rid of Edmonston, and we have to get rid of Wideman. It looks like there's no doubt to make space. However, to mess around with goalies, well, he won't be touched. But Jack fits in there so beautiful and brings a dimension to the Canadians' back end and to the team that we've been longing for a long time. So not only can he drop the gloves, but at least they have that presence, and they've been waiting for that for a long time. To me, that would be the hugest mistakes we would make is to unload Jack. So next is Harris. Harris is beautifully great skater. I think he's just got too much talent, too smooth. He fits in as a second pairing defenseman beautifully. So to me, you don't touch these guys. I totally know that that is in Rumorville, so I know where guys are getting it. Rumors are being created, and I've heard Lane Hudson. And to me, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to put it out there. In my opinion, everybody wants. I know everybody's excited about what Lane Hudson did in the U.S. hockey program this year. And for me, I'm sorry. There's two things you got to take into consideration here. And one, first of all, being this disease that affects his size, his growth. We don't know what affects and how severe that is. And can it be countered? So this is a huge unknown. I don't like unknowns like that myself. I know I have conditions myself that are unknowns. Not fun to live with. But that being said, yes, he's lit it up in the USHL and great hockey player. I'm not knocking him. Can he bring that to the NHL? I highly don't. Not to that level, I don't think. I don't think he's going to be a Cal McCarr. Sorry to say, that's my opinion. Yes, he's a very talented player, no doubt about it, but I think he's too small for what we need, and what we have gelling is better to hold on to. Now, the great thing about, I think this is why I think if the Habs are going to make that big splash with a defenseman, let it be Lane Hudson because he carries a lot of value for where we got him and he's putting up the numbers. So he could be thrown into a package to get whatever it is the Habs are trying to get. I would rather see Lane Hudson go for his size and the unknown and us have that dimension of a player we need because we got too many guys like Harris and Barron are both pretty much almost like clones, other than Harris is grittier, a little more bite to him, but a nice guy. And Barron's got to toughen up, and that's why I said other guys in the lineup. If there was anyone I didn't unload, it would be Barron. But I do think, when talking to a few people, and they got a point. If he's trained properly, maybe he turns into someone like that Carlo in Boston, or McAvoy, sorry, McAvoy in Boston. So you never know, Baron. Maybe if you work with him more, but he's definitely got to pull up his socks because that is a defenseman there now. He is the odd man out. But for me, personally, and I probably get shot for a lot of people, just go with uh, juniors and USHL stats. Don't be fools. Don't be fooled. Why get rid of something that's already proven in Montreal and it's working? And these guys got a little bit of experience under the belt and they're going to work out fine. I say leave it alone. And I say if you're going to do something, I think he's the perfect candidate because he will add the value that is needed within a big splash trade, which I do expect the Habs to do at the draft. I have a feeling, and I hope it's not the Dubois rumor. Please, I think we're making a huge mistake if we go down the road, especially if we can get him for free next year. And I'd just rather that money, because that's a lot of money his salary is. I'd rather that money be put on the young fellows that are coming up, the Caulfields, the Ghoulies, all of these guys. We're building something good here. Why mess with it? Go ahead with what you're bringing out of your own system. So that being said, I want to thank you all for following. And I just had to put it to rest because I got so tired of hearing it. And I understood about a lot of people hearing it. If it's between Jack, I, and Harris, well, guess what? I get that because it's the media pushing it out there. But let's hope that Hughes and Gordon are more sensible and see the value of both of these guys. They fit in nicely. They're not the guys that should go. What they got sitting there right now, as far as youngsters, is should be left alone. They have new dimensions put in there. I mean, whether Stubble or Mayu down the road, that I don't see that as this year type of thing. I think that's probably a following year after the upcoming season. You might get glimpses of Stubble being thrown in here and there, but that'd be about it. I don't think Mayu's ready. I think he needs a year in Laval for sure. And I think him and Stubble could use the year in Laval. But these could be two guys that crack the lineup after, say we have Edmonston, Weidman gone, and then possibly down the road, Savard goes. That's when they could probably come in. I see Mayu coming in. And that should be more than enough for Bettman to get over his grudges and allow this kid to get into playing NHL hockey. He's done his time. So with that being said, thank you very much, and we will see you in the next podcast, where we will go from 23 to 32. You notice I'm doing them faster because there's not as many. I'm going more so by the names I've heard Montreal attached to. I'm naming off the players for you that are listed in the order they're listed in, but at the same token, I'm really focusing on the guys that I see the Habs being attached to. And those were the guys the Habs were attached to that I mentioned. And I will do, after I do this 3-part series, I will come up with a 4th part to it, just to pick a bunch of the players that the Habs are attached to that we're hearing some rumors about. All right, so thank you very much. Get your friends to hit the like, subscribe. We muchly appreciate it, and getting really excited because here we are. 2nd of May, it's getting close. The countdown is on. The draft's on the 8th. Get ready, folks. It's going to be an exciting one. And I will put it out there. I may do a live podcast that day. So, and that would be our first. So we'll see what happens. Okay, take care, and we will see you in the up and coming episode, which should be within the next day or two in that approximation. So, where does the puck drop first? At Center Hice. Remember that. God bless you. Take care.